Hey there, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you're watching this from. And this is just going to be a small talk on perfection. So, as we know, as human beings, we are born imperfect, we are born flawed, and so on. So, we have a lot of mistakes, we make a lot of mistakes, we make a lot of bad decisions, and so on. And so, I believe that, or I've witnessed rather, that the the endless pursuit of perfection is somewhat built within all of us, deep inside, whether we like to express it, whether we like to admit it or not. We try our best to be perfect in anything or in everything that we do, whether it's how we dress, whether it's how we behave, whether it's how we, work in our jobs, our day-to-day jobs, whether it's how we study, whether it's how we do the exams, whether it's how we just live in all aspects. We try to be perfect in every single aspect, or at least one of them. And it it caught my mind actually because, and I wanted to speak about this or try to give my take on this because I found that it's really hard to be perfect because there's always there's always going to be room for growth. There's always going to be room for improvement. There's always going to be room for trial and error and so on and so forth. I mean, you're going to be learning along the way, especially if you're not doing something for a long time, or if you're doing something for the first time, you're gonna make a lot of errors, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. And even when you're an experienced veteran, or a pro at what you do, in other words, it's gonna be, you're gonna be still learning along the way. You're not gonna be having everything figured out. I mean, every day comes with new experiences. Every job, every aspect, every passion or craft that you're working on, there's always going to be new things that you discover about yourself on the craft that you're doing, or the job that you're doing, or about the thing in general, you know. And it so happens to be with life as well. I mean, there are a lot of things about life that we don't know. There's a lot of things about life that we're starting to learn about how we live it on a day-to-day basis and experiencing it on a day-to-day basis. It teaches us something about life itself, living in general, and also we start to learn a little bit more about ourselves when we go through our experience in different situations. So the aspect of being perfect actually is, how to say this, blatantly impossible. I mean, and that's not a bad thing, or that's not a discouraging thing at all. Uh, if anything, it just goes to show that we're human and fail, we we fail, we get tempted, we fall. But that's the beauty of it, because when you fall, you have the opportunity to rise. When you fail, you have the opportunity to learn. When you're defeated, you have the opportunity to re-strategize and work your way up to victory in some cases, or most. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, you're never gonna be perfect. You're never gonna be undefeated. You're never gonna be unbeatable. You're never gonna be, flawless in anything. There's always gonna be room to grow. I mean, even the people who are very successful, I think this is the best way to use a sports analogy, I think. So I'm gonna use that here. Even the teams you see on sports who are like powerhouses, and you have these unbeatable teams. They're not perfect either. I mean, they fail. They have to learn. They have to work on things. They have to re-strategize. They have to work their way up to the goal that they're working towards. And it's not gonna be like an easy breeze. It's not gonna be like a clean sweep, or just, you know. I mean, even in like, I mean, the more I used to be well versed in basketball and one from basketball, so I'm using that analogy in terms of the NBA and so on. So yeah, I mean, the one thing in the NBA is that these dynasties, it's like it's like yes, there are dynasties or there are teams that are unbeatable. Michael Jordan and the Bulls back in the 90s, the Golden State Warriors in the late 2000s, mid 2000s, I would say, around 2016 to 2015 to like 18, or yeah, 2015 to like 18, where they've just gotten like Michael Jordan won 6 championships in a row. I mean, he retired midway and then came back and then won 3 straight again. Before that, before retiring, he won 3 straight. So yeah, he's undefeated in that aspect, but uh, he's never not lost. You know, he wasn't unbeatable like throughout his whole career or anything like that. Even when he was on that 6-0 record, I mean, he he lost a couple of games. I mean, there's no team in the in the history of the NBA who went like, I mean, they play an 82 game season, so there's no team in the history of the NBA who went 82 and 0. That's just not possible because there's gonna be times where you're gonna have bad games. Sometimes you're the star of the team and you're like the best player in the world and you have a bad game, or the strategy or the plans of the coach doesn't go to as planned and somebody gets injured and so on. So there's a lot of factors, and it's just not possible for you to be unbeatable, undefeated. I mean, there are cases where in boxing that does happen with Money Mayweather, but yeah, I mean, it depends really because there's a lot of factors into consideration. I mean, of course, in boxing, there are fights where you can pick and choose not to go for or to go for. So that plays into a factor. So if you strategize well on that end, you can pick fights where there's a there's a 50-50 chance of you winning or a 60-40, which gives you a good odd to win and be unbeatable like him. But most cases, such as in life, going back to life, leaving sports behind, uh, you don't get to choose the battles that you fight. You don't get to choose the obstacles that you go through. You don't get to say, okay, I'm gonna sit this one out and I'm gonna go for the next one when a better opportunity comes around. No, it just doesn't work. You know, you have to go through every day with whatever comes your way. Like if if bad stuff happens and you're on a bad streak, like on a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, you can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna stop living for a while. When things get better, I'll get back at it. No, it just doesn't work. So like, and I feel like being perfect is, you know, it's like if you've been flawless like all these times, this is where I'm gonna get to the part where being perfect is actually not good uh, because yes, you're perfect in everywhere, you're flawless, nothing can beat you, nothing can phase you. But at some point, it it feels nothing. Like winning feels like nothing, or having that triumph, that breakthrough, that finally that eureka moment, yes, I finally did it moment, means nothing because you've been winning or you've been unbeatable for the majority of your life. So now it's just like an everyday thing. Whereas if you go through these ups and downs, which life is supposed to be, or if you're going through these phases where you're like really on that downhill spiral, then one win or one like triumph or one eureka moment or one, yes, I cracked the code moment can bring you so much fulfillment and, lift up your spirit so much. And that's just how it is. I mean, and at the end of the day, it makes for a great story as well. You don't have to be perfect in everything, but the fact, yes, people are going to admire perfection, people are going to aim for it, people are going to pursue it in every way imaginable. But the one thing is that people also like the underdog stories. People also root for underdogs. People also like seeing uh, stories where the main character or all the characters are not perfect. They fall, they get beaten up, they get defeated, they get pushed around and abused, but they get back up and they try again. I think that's much more inspirational to say because it's really hard for you to 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 fail, to to make mistakes, to have regrets, do this, to go through a lot of heartache, a lot of self-doubt, and just people ridiculing you left and right, insulting you left and right, and having the courage to continue on and try one more time. I feel like that's way more inspirational and way more you know gut punching in terms of it hits you deep because it's relatable. I mean, all of us are that. We fail, we go through that, and that is what that is what matters. I mean, you don't have to be perfect. We never will in any point in life, and you don't need to be. I mean, the the best thing that you can do is keep trying again every time you fail, keep learning again every time you fail, and try to do things a little bit better the next day, the next time it comes around, the next situation that rolls around, which is the same scenario. And that just shows that you're growing from your experiences. And at the end of the day, if there's anything you should chase, it's unconditional and intangible happiness. Now, what do I mean by intangible and unconditional happiness? Stuff that doesn't revolve around external factors. So you don't depend on a relationship to make you happy. You don't depend on your job to make you happy. You don't depend on materialistic things to make you happy. You just you don't expect or you don't depend on validation or affirmation to make you happy, but it just comes within yourself. Acceptance of where you are. That will bring you fulfillment, true fulfillment. Because once you're content and once you've accepted your circumstances, you'll stop denying things and you'll start living in a more practical sense. It's like, yes, my life is not perfect, and it gets you. It removes that tunnel vision like perspective where you can focus on the things that actually matter and to focus on the good things that are actually there in your life instead of chasing something that is practically unreachable. You can reach the things that are already there, and that doesn't really remove all the bad stuff, remove all the flaws and the the problems that you have in your life, the challenges, but it makes it a little more bearable. It's kind of the same thing with love at the same time in terms of perfection. You're never gonna find the perfect partner. You're never gonna find the perfect, people that that ticks off every box on your list. Perfect girl, perfect guy, perfect relationship, and all that. And I think that's what love shouldn't be as well, because at the end of the day, as they say in the Bible and in Christianity, is that love should be given unconditionally. God loves us unconditionally. Therefore, we should love each other unconditionally, flaws and all. And that's what makes love beautiful. You know, it's not finding the perfect person. It's not doing everything right and having every moment right. It's choosing to love that person despite their flaws, despite their imperfections, despite their quirkiness, their weirdness, and despite their brokenness. That's what it's. You don't have to be the perfect person. You're just gonna have to find people who love and accept you for who you are, and that I think that's way more meaningful because, in my opinion, because you know you get to be yourself around them. You know, you get to be who you are. You don't need to pretend. You don't need to put up a front. You don't need to put on a mask or anything like that. You get to be you. And they love you for that. They accept you for that. Sure, they may bash you a little bit. They may push you a little bit to be better, but at the end of the day, they accept you wholeheartedly. And the only reason why they push you to be better and they bash you sometimes is because they know you have potential. So that's another good thing. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove and you're in the dumps and you're in, deep waters, they'll still be there for you because they accepted you for the flawed human being that you are. And yeah, that's just one thing that I wanted to uh, talk about and put my point of view or take a crack at it. Hope you guys took something away from this. I know this talk is a bit more jumbled up and all over the place, but yeah, despite that, I hope you guys, took something away from it. And yeah, hope you have a great day.